La faim, la misère leur rendaient la vie bien difficile.
Je m'appelle Liane Pougy, j'ai 19 ans.
Pourquoi tu veux faire de la télé-réalité?
Hello and welcome to our film show here on Arts24, where critic Emma Jones is with us to take us through the week's releases. Hi, Emma.
Hi, hello.
Now, we're starting this week with an animated film by Michel Hazanavicius, the Oscar-winning director of The Artist. This is called The Most Precious of Cargoes, and it premiered in competition at this year's Cannes Film Festival. It was the first animation film to do so since Persepolis in 2007, which is quite a special thing. Emma, tell us more about this one.
Yeah, indeed. If you think of a film like Waltz with Bashir, when you look at The Most Precious of Cargoes, it really has that feel of a graphic novel, that pen and ink kind of drawings. But in actual fact, it is an adaptation of a classical novel by Jean-Claude Grunberg from 2019. And it also has the air of a very bleak fairy tale in its narration and its animation, especially when you hear almost the opening words, once upon a time there was a poor woodcutter and his wife, and those words are narrated by the late Jean-Louis Trintignant, and that was actually his last film credit. And this woodcutter and his wife are thrown a baby, the precious cargo, from a train, and this little girl is wrapped in a Jewish prayer shawl. She's been thrown by her desperate father, who's bound for Auschwitz.
Okay, well, let's take a look at the film.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Ne sais-tu pas à quelle espèce il appartient? C'est un sans-cœur. À mort, les sans-cœurs! Les sans-cœurs ont un cœur.
I see what you mean about the fairy tale quality there. Now, there was some controversy at Cannes about the fact that Hazanavicius had depicted the victims of Auschwitz through animation. Some critics found that a bit distasteful.
Yeah, I'm backing him, though, as a director, because I feel if it's part of the story, then it should be shown. And of course, he did say, I believe, that he wouldn't have directed this if it had been a live action film. And indeed, I think if we think of the catalogue of live action films that have been made on the topic of the Holocaust, there have been many of them. And if you think like The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas as well, which offers a child's understanding of the Holocaust. So I feel like a fairy tale almost a fairy tale element is almost like a different thing to do.
Some distance.
Yeah, I think so. And also, essentially, I feel that this story really is a fable about the human heart and really how love, especially when it comes from an innocent child, can really transform even the hardest of hearts and also lead ordinary people to do some quite heroic deeds. I feel that it's the animation and the music, the score by Alexandre Desplat, which really gives the film its power. It works as a fairy tale, but of course we know that the history behind it is all too real.
Looks very poignant. Well, on to another Cannes film now. This one's called Wild Diamond. It made history, in fact, as the first film made by a debut female director to get into the competition. This caused a bit of a stir when the announcement was made. Does it live up to those expectations?
Yeah, I really like this film, and actually I was quite surprised that this film directed by Agathe Riedinger. It was based upon a short that she'd originally made in 2017, didn't pick up any prizes. I felt that she was quite a fresh new voice and a fantastic performance from Malou Kabezi, who plays 19-year-old Liane. Now, she lives in Fréjus in the south of France. She has a less than ideal home life, and she has become obsessed with the idea that being on a reality TV show called Miracle Island, might be her way out of quite a depressing future.
Miracle Island sounds a bit familiar, I must say. Well, let's take a look at Wild Diamond.
T'as pété les plombs, toi, en fait.
C'est mon corps, je fais ce que je veux.
Puis je peux faire ton garde du corps.
J'ai pas besoin d'hommes pour me protéger.
Tu fais quoi si t'es pas prise?
Si je l'ai pas, je me tue.
So sometimes with these sort of social realist pieces, dramas, there is a risk of being a bit condescending to the subjects. I mean, does this film avoid that?
especially with a subject like this. No, you don't feel that. I feel that you're very much in the film with Leanne.
Okay.
I particularly like some of the director's touches. I feel, no male director would have thought of, because if you see Leanne, she takes off these very painful heels and you can see these red welts on her feet, where they've caused that kind of damage. She is so vulnerable underneath this exterior and all the trappings she's having done to her body to make her a reality TV star. There's boob jobs, bum lifts, lip augmentation, and even one very painful scene where you see her tattoo herself, and then she does a live feed quite afterwards. And I think Wild Diamond is really a commentary on the hypersexualization of this kind of culture. What is interesting is that Leanne is not really a sexual person at all. There's a real discrepancy there, and I think it's really showing that this is almost like a business venture for her. It's what she needs to achieve in order to get the recognition that she is really craving. I wish that we could see more of these kind of characters on screen, to be honest with you, but I think it took a long time to get commissioned as a film.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it deals with stuff that's very much of our time. Well, onto a music documentary next. This one's called Piece by Piece. It's about the creative director of Louis Vuitton's menswear division and 13-time Grammy Award winner Pharrell Williams, of course. The director's Morgan Neville, himself an Oscar winner. They are both Lego pieces in this film.
Yes.
Emma, do enlighten us.
Yes, I know it is. It is strange, but this was the way Pharrell Williams said that he would be happy to quote one of his biggest hits in order to participate in a documentary about himself. Now, the Lego Movie was a cultural phenomenon back in 2014, and I'm really torn between the idea that this is a great idea, but also that it does create a certain distance between us and Pharrell. Don't know if that was intended.
Okay, well, let's take a look at the film.
Whoa, I knew this was going to work.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready.
Proof that anything can be Lego. Absolutely.
It's different.
Watching that clip, you do remember, of course, just how many hits he's responsible for.
Oh, it's extraordinary. And if you think, he was part of the Neptunes, and then he was also collaborating with Gwen Stefani, No Doubt, Snoop Dogg, Jay-Z, NERD, Justin Timberlake. I could go on.
Yeah.
And, a lot of these people are in the film, and it's great fun hearing their voices and seeing them made into Lego pieces. Snoop Dogg is the best. He appears in a haze of something. I'm not quite sure what that is, but it is really great to see. Also astonishing to think that Pharrell and his Neptunes co-star, now estranged, Chad Hugo, who is in the film as well as a Lego piece, they grew up in Virginia Beach at the same time as Timbaland and Missy Elliott.
Wow.
This is a town that really punched above its weight musically. I think fans will have a lot of fun hearing the stories behind the tracks, and also finding out that Pharrell was fired from working in McDonald's, though he did go on to co-produce its biggest jingle, I'm loving it.
What revenge. Okay, well, director Morgan Neville was at the London premiere of Piece by Piece, and he gave some fascinating insights into how Pharrell was made into a Lego figure.
I mean, Pharrell has a very distinctive nose too, but there's no nose on a minifig. So you're like, well, you can't do that. And a minifig often in a Lego movie will have one outfit for the entire movie. And in this movie, Pharrell has more than 80 outfits because he's a fashion guy. So it was really like, how I want to make sure people know that's him, and it's him as a boy and him, aging and everything. But the cheekbones, that was the thing. That was like, okay, nobody has cheekbones like that.
So a lot of famous musicians give into this idea of having a documentary made about themselves, but does this film actually give us a true picture of who Pharrell Williams is?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think that I've been such a fan of Morgan Neville ever since 20 Feet from Stardom, the documentary made about 10 years ago, which won him an Oscar. I do think, though, when somebody very famous agrees to do a documentary about themselves, it's going to be slightly deferential. So I do think that we find out really quite a lot about Pharrell and what motivates him as a person. But there are some aspects of his career I feel still are glossed over. As I mentioned, Chad Hugo, his Neptune's co-star, does appear in the documentary via his Lego alter ego. But you know that he did collaborate, of course. Pharrell did collaborate with P. Diddy. So there's no mention, really, of that in the film. So there are some pieces missing from Piece by Piece. Soundtrack is fabulous, though.
Okay, so maybe a sanitized version with fantastic music. Okay, well, finally to a documentary called Bread and Roses. This is produced by Jennifer Lawrence and Nobel Peace Prize winner Malala Yousafzai. It's directed by an Afghan filmmaker, Sahramani. What's this one about?
Yeah, this is a really heartfelt documentary that's made from women within Afghanistan who are resisting the steady erosion of their rights since the Taliban retook power back in August 2021. Now, despite the famous faces who are backing the film, this is a documentary that's made in the Pashto language. It's made without narration. I think the thing that really stands out, you know, is since the first time that the Taliban were in power, technology has changed. That's what's really changed. So a lot of the film is mobile phone footage, which the women are filming even as they are protesting, even as they are being arrested. And it focuses on 3 female protagonists. I think I was really disturbed watching it, thinking I'm seeing their faces, you know, have they either escaped or are they no longer with us?
Surely that's dangerous for them, yeah.
Exactly, you know. But it's a very moving story in many parts, well crafted, about the camaraderie that they share as women. Also very moving to see the support of their husbands and fathers, their faces blurred for their safety.
Wow, and it's a very rare perspective for us to see on screen as well, so very important. Well, thanks for the roundup, Emma. We'll leave you with a clip of Bread and Roses, which is released this week on Apple TV+. Otherwise, do check in with us here next time for more movies, arts and culture. There's more news coming up on France 24 just after this.
با صدها نیروهای نظامی ما فقط 12 زن هستیم ولی ما هنوز هم ساده هستیم.
بسیار مشکل داشته شدم. و برای بسیار سخت است که من از او کلینیک دل کندم.
حتی دیگه خسته شدم از گریه کردن، حتی دیگه اشکایم نمی‌باره دیگه.
وضعیت این روزها هیچ خوب نیست.
که مجبوریم مبارزه کنیم دیگه کلام رای نداره حالا